ever looked at some old baseball clips and thought, what on earth is that guy doing at the plate? Hands spread a foot apart, body twisted like a pretzel, crouching so low it looks like they're hiding from the pitcher. Well, believe it or not, these weren't jokes. For decades, some of the strangest, funniest, and most bizarre batting stances in baseball history actually belong to serious players. And the craziest part? Many of them worked. Some even turned guys into legends. So today, let's take a ride through the weirdest batting stances baseball has ever seen. The ones that made no sense at all until somehow they did. The pioneer of strange, John Walkenfuss. Let's start with a man who set the tone for weirdness, John Walkenfuss. This guy would stand at the very back of the batter's box, feet wide apart, literally turning his back to the pitcher. He looked more like he was trying to avoid the pitch than hit it. Why did he do this? Well, the story is almost too dumb to believe. He once tried it in Puerto Rico, got a hit, and thought, well, I guess this works. He stuck with it for 11 MLB seasons. No science, no analysis, just vibes. Kevin Youkilis, the human pretzel. Fast forward and you've got Kevin Youkilis, the poster boy of funky mechanics in the 2000s. Imagine bringing your knees together, pointing the bat straight at the pitcher, and holding your hands a foot apart. That was Uke. Standing next to David Ortiz, who had one of the smoothest, most classic stances, Youkilis looked like a little league experiment. But here's the twist. When the swing actually started, it looked almost identical to Ortiz. The stance was just his personal ritual to get locked in. Weird? Absolutely. Effective? You bet. The drunk routine, Aaron Rowand. Then there's Aaron Rowand. Fans nicknamed his routine the drunk. And if you saw it, you'd understand why. He'd wave his bat wildly below his belt, shaking it in the most awkward spot imaginable, right around the groin. Every time he did it, the crowd laughed, players mocked him, but Rowan insisted it locked him in. And you know what? Nobody dared stop him, because once the pitch came, his swing was as normal as anyone else's. Jeff Bagwell, the trade that changed history. Now let's talk about Jeff Bagwell, one of the most successful weird stance players ever. Bagwell crouched so low it looked painful. His squat stance was legendary, and not in a good way at first. The Red Sox thought it was so ridiculous they traded him away in 1990. For who? A 37-year-old reliever named Larry Anderson. Half a season later, Anderson was gone. Meanwhile, Bagwell went on to become a four-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and a Hall of Famer with nearly 450 home runs, all from that stupid crouch. It's remembered today as one of the worst trades in MLB history. Craig Counsell, saved by Garth Brooks. And then there's maybe the strangest journey of all, Craig Counsell. At first, Counsell was just a decent average hitter, nothing weird, until one day when he was in the middle of a brutal slump, he finally connected, smacked a ball into the outfield. Relief washed over him. But before he could enjoy it, the ball was caught. Who caught it? Garth Brooks. Yes, the country music superstar. During one of his charity spring training stints with the Mets, Brooks robbed Counsell of the hit that would have broken his slump. The next day, Counsell was cut from the Dodgers. His career was on life support. Out of desperation, he reinvented himself with one of the strangest stances ever, standing almost completely upright, arms over his head, looking like a scarecrow. And somehow, it worked. Counsell joined the Diamondbacks, helped them win a World Series, and lasted 16 years in the big leagues, all because of one weird stance. And a country singer who broke his heart. Ty Cobb to Babe Ruth, a shift in baseball. Weird stances aren't new. Ty Cobb, one of the earliest legends, actually slid his hands up and down the bat mid-pitch depending on if he wanted contact or power. Then came Babe Ruth, who flipped baseball on its head. While most hitters were choking up and poking singles, Ruth stood tall, feet together, and swung for the fences. He struck out a ton, but he also hit home runs like nobody else. And suddenly, everyone wanted power. That opened the door for more unorthodox approaches. Mel Ott and Tony Batista, big swings, big results. Mel Ott, just 5 feet 9 and 170 pounds, used a massive leg kick that looked like slow-pitch softball. People laughed until he hit 511 career home runs. Decades later, Tony Batista faced the pitcher chest on with his hands way back, as if daring pitchers to challenge him. He wasn't just odd, he was terrifying. When he got hit by a pitch once, he charged, and the pitcher was so scared he ran into the outfield to escape. The contact craze, shrinking the strike zone. In the 70s and 80s, artificial turf made ground balls more dangerous. Suddenly, making contact at all costs became valuable. That's when guys like Mike Fischlin crouched so low, their hands were practically at their ankles. It wasn't about power, it was about survival. And then there's Rickey Henderson. He crouched to shrink his strike zone, forcing pitchers to walk him. Why? Because once he was on base, he was unstoppable. Henderson stole 1,406 bases, the most in MLB history, while still hitting nearly 300 home runs. His stance wasn't just weird, it was genius. Gary Sheffield. The bat wiggle inspired by Henderson's swagger, Gary Sheffield created one of the most iconic stances ever. He wagged his bat violently back and forth, daring pitchers to throw to him. It looked reckless, but Sheffield mashed over 500 home runs with that style. When asked about it, Sheffield admitted it started because he thought it looked cool. Then he tried it in batting practice, hit 10 bombs in one round, and never went back. Cal Ripken Jr., a stance for every season. Meanwhile, Cal Ripken Jr. was constantly experimenting. In one year he'd crouch, the next he'd stand tall, then he'd invent the violin stance, sliding his bat back and forth on his shoulder like he was playing an instrument. By the end of his career, he'd had more stances than most players have bats. The international influence, Ichiro and Ohtani. When Ichiro Suzuki came to MLB, people doubted his pendulum swing, where he'd swing his leg across for timing. Critics thought it would never work against MLB velocity, but Ichiro became a hitting machine, proving them all wrong. Decades later, Shohei Ohtani arrived with a powerful leg kick from Japan. But this time, coaches didn't let it slide. He dropped it almost immediately, switching to a toe tap. His results improved, and he's kept it that way ever since. Modern players, toning it down today, hitters like Connor Joe and Zach Neto tried weird stances early in their careers and quickly abandoned them. But not everyone plays it safe. Bo Bichette still rocks a giant leg kick, and Luis Camposano stands in a way that's eerily similar to Tony Batista, and maybe the weirdest stance of all time could be coming back. Noah Sheffield, Gary's son, uses the exact same wiggle his dad made famous. If he makes it to the majors, we might just see another era of wild stances. Why weird stances are disappearing. So why don't we see as many strange stances today? The answer is simple: data. Back in the day, players experimented based on feel. If something worked, they stuck with it. If it didn't, they tried something else. Now, every swing is recorded from 100 angles, broken down with advanced metrics, analyzed in labs. The result is that most hitters converge toward the same optimal stance. Hands high, slight open, minimal movement. The individuality that once made stances so iconic has mostly shifted to bat flips, flashy gear, and celebrations. The legacy of the weird stance, from Walkenfuss turning his back, to Counsell's scarecrow stance, to Bagwell squatting like he was resting on a bar stool, weird batting stances gave baseball some of its most colorful moments. They might not be as common today, but they remind us that baseball has always been more than numbers. It's about personality, experimentation, and sometimes just doing something strange because it feels right. And who knows, maybe Noah Sheffield will bring back the wiggle. Maybe some future rookie will invent a brand new stance that looks insane but works perfectly. Baseball has a funny way of circling back.